Howdy. Yes, I know I have my t-shirt inside out. I didn't really, it was dark this morning, I had no light.
What?
I'm talking to my phone.
Okay.
Thought I'd do something a little bit different today. Thought I'd talk about some of the pros and cons of travel in this COVID era. I'll start with the pros. They're fewer, obviously, but most places you go are empty. There are no tourists, which is it's kind of a double-edged sword sometimes, but for the most part it's a pro. I'm sitting in a lodge by myself. They're moving the Wi-Fi from the restaurant to my room because there's no one else here, and the price is less. Full board, it's much cheaper than what it would be if there was thousands of tourists wandering around. So that's one of the pros. It's probably the main pro, because everywhere I go it's like that. There are very few tourists, and accommodation rates generally have gone down significantly. The cons are many more, obviously. If you need to try and share a tour or go out on a game drive with a group or a boat trip, or all these things are far more expensive because there's nobody, so they have to set them up for you specifically. Other cons, if you can call them cons, the wildlife have reverted back a bit to what they were. They were habituated, a lot of them, and now they're not so habituated. That was a baboon having a bit of a tantrum down there. So that's, part of the reason that I nearly got killed on the river that day. Other cons, well, the obvious ones, borders closed without, randomly. Flights are cancelled. I've been caught out 2 or 3 times, and it's cost me a lot of money and a lot of time to get to where I was going. First with that flight from South Africa that was cancelled, and I ended up in Zambia, and my flight from South Africa to Namibia, I lost the money on that. And then again in Nampula in Mozambique, they cancelled my flight the day before I was supposed to go. It cost me €800 to get to Kigali via four flights and 3 different destinations. So it's very hard. It's very hard to book and plan flights because you don't know if you're going to pass your COVID test. If you fail your test, you go on nowhere. And there's this constant having to be constantly aware that any person or anything you touch could infect you. Other cons, due to my government's and the UK as well, saying you can't travel, we can't get travel insurance. So if anything goes wrong, I'm just going to have to pay for it out of my pocket. There's no travel insurance. Other cons, a lot of the tourist markets are dying in the arse. So there are things that you would like to do that you can't. I forgot one pro. In Uganda is so desperate to bring in tourists that they've cut the price on all of their national parks, all of their tracking chimps, gorillas, all the national parks, 50%. This is a golden place to come at this time. The weather is good. It's anti-COVID weather because it kills it quick. It's there's not many tourists around, and it's good value. A couple would save $1,500 by just on the national parks and the trips alone. My boat trip tonight, I'll be doing it alone, whereas last time I came here 2 years ago there was like a school group, so it was insane. Tonight I get the boat to myself, an esky full of beer, and I'll be chilling while I look for wildlife. I was thinking of other cons. It's complex. It is extremely complex to plan where to go. There are websites. You can look at airline websites that service certain countries. For example, Emirates will give you the information you need to know on the countries that they go to. The countries they don't, you don't get that information. You got to go elsewhere. There's a couple of sites called Travel Ban, WeGo, a few others, but sometimes they're wrong. So you get to a place and you take one, or you're thinking you can't go to a place, and then you find out you can, and you just bypassed it. A bit like Malawi, right? I didn't think I'd get into Malawi. Well, that's bullshit. I can, so I'll be going there in a couple of weeks' time. So there's some of the issues, you know. Cost of airfares is much higher than it used to be. I don't care what anyone says, that you're not going to get a decent price fare anywhere. Certain airlines have bit the bullet and are gone, which means getting into some places is now a monopoly and it costs you far more. On the ground, a lot of the tourist groups have disappeared. A lot of those backpacker places I've been to places that haven't had anyone for months, and obviously they're not doing any of those cheap trips to anywhere anymore. So, you know, these are some of the difficulties, and honestly, it is not possible to do what I've done without having unlimited time and a significant amount of money. So, well, my time's not totally unlimited. I have to be back in the UK in June, but you know, I can get there and I'll knock off another 6 countries in Africa before I do, and a few in Asia, and I'll get there. Whether I think I found a way to get back into the UK without quarantine. It's kind of sneaky, but I'm not going to talk about it in case, you know, but I think I can do it. And then I'll get my vaccination when I get there. Because you got to remember that you can't just go and get a vaccination. You just can't. These people that are going on, oh, don't let people back in Australia unless they're vaccinated and they go into quarantine. Well, fuck, you pay for the quarantine and we can't get vaccinated. We can't get anything. So, it's not that simple. Anyway, so those are the pros and cons. There are probably others I've forgotten, but for the most part, it is the best travel experience ever, because even in Europe, when you can go anywhere in Europe, Asia and Africa, there are just no people, which is terrible for the countries and terrible for their economies, but it's perfect for someone who hates having crowds around them all the time of dickheads. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. It's worth doing if you can, but it's you're going to have to be patient, and you can't plan ahead. It's impossible, because I've ended up in places that I didn't plan to go. So I had no plans to come here this trip. Okay, just to tell you where I am. I'm in Queen Elizabeth National Park on the border of... Gerard, does this national park border Congo? Yeah, okay. So, but it's on. The border is the lake. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the lake. Okay. Yeah. So it borders the Congo. We're about 6 or 7 hours from Kampala, and this place has everything. So except rhinos, right? No rhinos. So I'll be here for the next couple of days. Then I'm heading back to Kampala, doing my 16th COVID test, and I found a flight for €300 from here to the Comoros Islands. If I don't get this flight, I'm going to have to stay overnight. I don't know why this one's going, you know, so well. Like, the flight times are excellent. If I don't get this one, I'm going to have to get a visa for Kenya, and I'm going to have to hang around there overnight, and then I have to book rooms. So I'm aiming for this one. I'm just concerned that the testing place says they'll have results in 6 hours, which is pretty damn good. If that's the case, I will make it. I'll be flying out at 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's going to be tight. But if I get the results, because I can't book until I get the results. So, is it cold?
Is it still like or still like that?
Keep the other ones in the freezer. I'll drink
Yes.
this one though.
Okay.
Thank you. So there you go. That's travel with COVID. It's a nightmare, but it's been good. Goodbye.